Hey, what's up, guys? This is Shawn here. So, I wanted to give you a weekly housing market update. The weather here is amazing in Bower Highlands. I thought I'd give you some Portland market update with the brand new homes. There's some FHA, the loan changes, and talk about a little bit about the lock-in effect, about the inventory and everything, how much it costs to buy a home in Portland, Oregon, and how much it costs to buy in the countrywide median sale price. I'm going to talk a little bit about the tariffs and how it's going to affect the brand new home construction. And then there's something like pretty wild, but Zillow and Redfin, they're making some fuss, I suppose. Yeah, there's some big changes that are coming down. So let's dive into the Portland market first. So the new home builders are slashing the prices. I've seen as much as like 30, 40, 50, $90,000. In some cases, like $120,000 price cut in the last about 2 months or so. And it's kind of nice to see. And they're offering about 5% of the purchase price toward the seller's credit. What that means is that you, as a home buyer, you could use that toward rate buy down or toward the closing cost. And it reflects the pressure to move the inventory in a high rate environment. Do you think this level of incentives will sway some of the home buyers who are on the fence? Yeah, it's ready to be seen. I'm working with out of town buyer who's moving in from Texas, I think, and they're eyeing on one property. But I don't see a lot of like move up, move down kind of buyers buying homes right now. But it's more of a necessity. People who are moving into the state or into the cities, they're the one actually making the purchases. Let's talk about the FHA change. So the HUD rule not allowing non-permanent resident aliens from FHA financing effective as of May 25th of this year. So until then, they're going to allow it, it looks like. And it could impact demand in sort of diverse market like in Portland. And it's going to put some more pressure on first-time home buyers as well. It's kind of tricky one, but that's the rule. I never want to be, in like a talk about politics or anything like that, but that is one change that's coming with this, illegal or non-documented, whatever they call it. Let's talk about the lock-in effect. So as you guys know, lock-in effect means the current homeowners have such a low interest rate. There's no incentives to sell that house and move to another house and pay like double the interest. That's why we call it a lock-in. The listings are locked in. And so basically listings is driven by, as I mentioned, the life event, death, divorce, relocation, rather than other discretionary like moves that makes sense when the rate is low, kind of like downsizing and move up type of things are kind of stalled at this point. So Portland, Oregon, the home prices are $543,000 right now. And at today's rate, 6.625%, with a 5% down, with applying the insurance and property taxes and everything, it costs $4,374 a month. That's really expensive, but that's what's happening right now. And the 5% down payment with the closing costs included, that's about $47,000. So if you want to buy a house in the current market at about $550,000 home, and if you saved above about $50,000, you can buy a home. And right now the rental market is like going up. The rental price is kind of inching up. So it's tough time for housing market overall. Nationwide, the median home price is $386,000. It's much less than Portland, and so, but still, the monthly payment at today's rate is about $3,110. That's including again the 5% down payment. I just applied the Oregon property taxes and insurance, rate. So it basically, the affordability is a big issue still, and 5% and closing cost, you need to save about $35,000 to buy a house in the nationwide median sale price. Let's talk about the tariffs and new constructions. So I looked it up, and in the last year, 2024, the brand new homes used only about 7% of the material that's used to build a brand new home imported. So like 93% of the materials are domestically produced. And so, assuming the tariffs put on the 7% that's imported, I mean, it's going to impact, the pricing. But to just give you a number, the imported the materials were about $14 billion worth, and domestically produced materials are about $190 billion. That was last year. So the tariffs may not hit the new construction as hard as some people expected, but still, any cost could kind of creep up and squeeze the builders, already cutting the prices and the revenues and everything. Now, in March, NAR, the National Association of Realtors, they allowed to have the brokerages to market sellers listing as a private. What that means is it's kind of olden day, pocket listing, we used to call it. If you have a listing and you don't have to put it on RMLS or MLS, and you could have like your network or your brokerage, or you could actually have kind of like coming soon, but it's slightly different than coming soon. So if you're in a really big brokerage, let's say 5,000 brokers, you could just share within that brokerage but not have to put in MLS. That's what NAR approved last month, and that was very big difference. So the pros of doing that is they're claiming that the sellers don't have to show the days on the market, the price cut. So basically the listing histories will be kind of hidden because it doesn't go into MLS, the public database almost. And that's what happened last month. And about 3 days ago, Zillow, yeah, one of the favorite websites, they came out and said that they're not going to post those listings if they ever do that. So it's very threatening. So what they're saying is, if you list privately, if you use a private listing or pocket listing with your own brokerage, whatever, without putting that information into MLS within the first 24 hours, basically Zillow is not going to allow those listings to be posted at a later date with that brokerage and with that agent. What that means is that if you as a seller working with a broker who's taking advantage of this private listing, you may have a chance taking a risk of not being posted on Zillow. The way I look at it right now is number-wise, Zillow traffic is about 30 to 40% of the entire buyer pool. And so kind of taking that risk, I'm not sure if it's worth it. There's pros and cons of pocket listing, but in my opinion, exposing to the most buyers is the key to get the best offer. And it was very threatening, and I haven't heard the NAR's response or the big brokerages who wanted to do the private listings yet. Probably the next few days, they're going to respond in some way. But it's pretty chaotic right now in the residential real estate market. And as of today, apparently Redfin announced that they're going to join Zillow, blocking those private listings, the allowance. So they're going to ban those listings if they do private listings. So both Zillow and Redfin, they're basically against this, and there's a lot of talk right now. So one thing that I mentioned on other video is that you as a consumer, you don't have to know these things, because in next week the rule could change. Next month NAR could come up with another rule. The following month the DOJ, the Department of Justice, might come out and say, hey, you guys are doing illegal stuff here. Just stop the bullshit. They could put some kind of new law too. I mean, this in the last 2 years, real estate market has been so chaotic. Nothing will surprise me at this point. But in my opinion, yeah, again, going back to more exposure is better. And private listings really don't help the sellers, in my opinion. So I'm advocating for, like, in this case, ironically, I'm kind of like thinking about Zillow's point of view too, because otherwise the sellers might get hurt. What I mean by this is kind of leaving money on the table. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about it, just feel free to let me know. I offer like 20-minute free consultation for any situation for Oregon transactions or sales. So give me a call, and that's it for this week. And have a great week. And please leave a comment below if you like this. That's going to help my channel greatly. So I appreciate that. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.